You're listening to the SFL podcast.
Okay, is this real? Are we really doing this? Jack, for when I walked in here, we're gonna say Jack is in here. We're telling them
Okay,
because when I walked into this office and I seen like the chairs and the mics and this fancy board, I was like, first off, Jack is a
beast.
Amazing, yes. And it kind of became real. Like, this is really happening. We have a real podcast.
And as we said, it's better than my idea, which was cell phones on a tripod.
Yeah. Hey, I was here for it. Like, I was like, perfect, let's do it. I've actually done a podcast with someone in the car with a cell phone, and it worked great. But Jack is
Next level. Woohoo.
that's
Let's
right.
go.
Like, he is team SFL. That's
So
what.
on that note, welcome to the SFL podcast. And if you're wondering who we are, I'm Taylor and this is Keshia. So Keshia, go ahead and tell them about yourself.
Okay, so we knew that we had to come into this podcast, at least obviously explaining who we are and what SFL is, because we can't assume that everyone knows who we are, obviously, because we're not famous. I mean, and that what SFL is. So about me, I am a wife. Actually, this year, I looked at it yesterday. I have to count now. We've been married for almost 15 years.
That's
Wild.
awesome.
Like, I don't even feel like I'm old enough to be married that long. A mom of three, Peyton, she's 13. We have Pecos, who's 7. And we have Scylla, who is 5. And then we are very, very involved in ministry in our church. Now, I would say I've been married for 15 years. So I say I've been in ministry for 15 years because when you marry into this family, you marry into ministry. Like, married.
So on that note, you're
the pastor's
father-in-law.
son.
Yeah. Is the pastor of our church.
Exactly. Yes. So my father-in-law is the pastor of our church, and it's a whole nother podcast, but definitely married into ministry and had to find my place very fast. So, which is a great thing. But we also own 2 businesses, and my husband, we own 2 businesses, and he also has like a 3rd job. So more about that another time for sure. But we are very busy. I homeschool all 3 of our children, which is a chore in itself. It could be a full-time job for real. And then we travel. One of actually 2 all the time. I showed Taylor our calendar the other day.
Finding time to record a podcast is going to be fun.
It is, but God's going to make a way.
Right.
He's going to make a way. He's going to part the waters. But definitely travel a lot. We did our calendar for the rest of the year, and I mean, it's insane, but it's so fun. So I can't wait to tell more about that. But you, Tay, tell us about you.
Okay. So I get to tell about myself, and I was a little bit nervous about this, so this is what I wrote down. I'm a 2-time wife and a 2-time parent. So I've been married to the same person twice. My husband's name is Kobe.
Okay, wait. Let's pause there for
just
just a split second.
We'll give you a teaser. We've decided we're not going to expound on this story until like a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
But we'll just tell you
quick
how we're related.
So I am married to Taylor's cousin.
And I am married to her brother.
Yes. So, but no more. Like,
That's
they
it.
have to tune in another time because the
I
stories.
have married her brother twice.
Yeah.
Right. So,
I prayed you right back in.
Right. So, I have 2 sons. Their names are Cass, who is 3, and Cannon, who is 5 months old. And, so that's where I'm in the thick of not sleeping, all that kind of stuff. You know, finding out how to just do life and not lose your mind. Yeah. So I'm excited for this podcast, and now we're gonna say what? What are we gonna say?
Well, I feel like we need to explain why we are doing a podcast. But before we do that, we have to explain what SFL is, because that somewhat kind of tells the story. So I thought about that earlier, and I was like, well, if we tell what SFL is, it kind of tells a little bit of the teaser of how you ended up like marrying my brother twice.
Yeah.
Because Taylor was married to my brother, and they were going through a divorce.
We were married for 1.5 years. We got a divorce.
And I was mad. So
Yeah.
I was very sad and mad.
We all knew that this was a dumb idea. We told Kobe, you're going to regret this, but whatever. Sometimes they don't listen.
We have to remember he gets to maybe be on here one day,
Yeah.
and he might come back at us for all this. So
That's true, too.
but I had told Taylor, I was like, I think the divorce was final that day, and I said, let's go get tattoos.
Yeah.
And she was like,
Which is
okay.
hilarious.
It is hilarious. So
we got tattoos and we got our
belly
belly
buttons
buttons pierced.
Oh my God.
It was just funny too, because we came out of that and I was like, I would get tattoos again, which I did.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I would never want to get my belly button pierced
No,
again. And you were like the opposite.
I know it hurt worse.
The belly button hurt me worse.
See, I think the tattoo hurt worse.
Yeah, see.
But anyways,
that's neither here nor there.
Exactly. So Taylor and I went and got tattoos, and she drew a heart on my arm, and I drew a heart on her arm. And we went with it, and I told her that was like a representation of we would be sisters for life.
Yeah, so we started calling each other SFL.
SFL. Yeah, but that is not the name. Where SFL actually stands for Sister Faith Life.
Yeah.
And so do you want to explain that, how we came up with that?
Yeah, so I remember we were sitting at Pappy's Barbecue, which has since burned down and is very sad.
Yeah.
But we were like, we need to find a name for this. We need to find a name for this. And it just felt like that was so obvious to just have SFL because it meant something to us.
Yeah.
But also sisters. Like we wanted this group to feel like sisterhood. And then obviously we're going to talk about faith because we can't talk about anything in our lives without talking about faith because it's certainly the undercurrent for any decision that we make.
Absolutely.
And then this is us doing life together.
Yeah.
All of us.
Yes.
We are together in this. And so that's what we want SFL to be about.
Yeah.
And then side note, funny story. So when I was in South Dakota, I did a
wait, South Dakota from when you got married and y'all went?
Yes, we went on our honeymoon for 2 months. We went to South Dakota. We'll talk about that later. But we were there for 2 months, and I went on a camping trip with an Indian reservation. Like a church was putting on a trip for an Indian reservation, and there was this girl. She was like 14, and she was like, I don't know how to explain it other than that she was just like really like, you're dumb. Everything's dumb. I hate being here.
Oh, God.
That was like her attitude. Anyway, she saw my heart tattoo and she was like, that is so basic. Yeah, so now it's Nate's joke. Nate calls me basic all the time because she called me basic for my heart tattoo.
I feel so offended.
She said, I bet you drink Starbucks all the time.
She was 14?
I said, I do not. She was 14. I was like, I do not even live by a Starbucks, so I cannot have Starbucks all the time, but if I could, I would. And if you lived by one, you would too. That's what I told her.
Yeah.
And,
I don't feel like this is basic at all.
I told her, I said, it's basic now, but we did it first.
Yeah, it's been
so
like...
if you have a heart tattoo on your hand, we did it first.
That's right.
Anyways.
That's right.
It means something. You drew this.
Exactly. Yeah,
Anyways.
No, not basic at all. And I can't believe a 14-year-old was so just in your face.
That's
very brave.
A whole nother story.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I feel like we talked about like how the name came about, but SFL is actually a full-blown women's ministry.
For sure.
So we didn't really say that. So I feel like it's necessary to say that SFL is a full ministry. We Taylor and I started it. I guess it feels like to even say that it's been probably 10 years maybe. Started it where we were actually meeting once a month and started with a very small group of girls in Meemaw's house.
Meemaw's the grandma.
Yes, Meemaw
we call her Meemaw. Everybody does.
Yeah, you'll get to know Meemaw for sure.
We should have her on.
We should. We have to. She's hilarious.
So fun.
But that's Josh, my husband, and Taylor's grandma. And we met the very first time in her house with maybe 30 people. And I feel like within a year, we were running like 100 maybe, having events at our church and at the Civic Center. And it's kind of grown into something that we just do like one major event a year. Mm-hmm. And so that's more on that. Yeah. We'll definitely be sharing more on our event coming up this year. But it's a full-blown ministry that you can find on Facebook and Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to work on that. But it's exciting. It's really exciting.
Yep. And I think the podcast has just been on our heart for a little while.
Yeah.
And then over the summer we were doing ministry things, and people, it was like happened to us like 3 times. Was it on the same trip where people were like, did they tell us that we should start a podcast?
Which trip are you talking about?
Corsicana.
Okay, so Corsicana, yeah, they all start to run together between bull trips and ministry trips. I'm like, wait,
Okay,
which one?
Yeah, you travel more than I do.
Yeah. But Corsicana, someone saying we should do a podcast?
Yeah, you don't remember that?
No, I don't.
Yeah, because remember we were talking about it in the beginning of the trip. We were like, I had told you, I was like, Keish, we should really do that. Because we had already talked about it before, so we just brought it back up. And I was like, no, we should really, really do that.
Yeah.
And then like 2 different women were saying that they have daughters that are older and they needed to hear stuff like this. And they were like, do you guys have anything that they could like listen to? And we were like, no, but we will.
Okay, it was in the awning between the church and the kitchen.
You had that conversation. And then, so that was the one lady.
Okay,
and then another lady had that conversation with all of us standing around.
Yes.
And I remember we looked at each other and we were like, confirmation.
Exactly.
So it's been on our heart since then.
Yeah, no, the podcast idea, definitely. I was telling Taylor that I sit in the middle of a lot of our conversations saying, wow, this should be a podcast. Like, and I'm not saying that's because we're that good, but it's because God is.
We're not, and you'll figure that out. If it sounds like we don't know what we're doing, it's because we don't.
No, but no, I mean, it's really just the fact that I feel like you said, faith is such a undercurrent of everything that we do, that it's just that God is that good.
Right.
We've lived out so many experiences that we've gleaned off of God and His glory in the Word, that we just have, like, we have good things to say because of Him.
Right.
And so, like, I love I know your whole life and all your stories, but I still get encouragement from you preaching about what you went through, you know? And so a lot of the times we, like I said, we can't be, I was telling you, we can't be in everyone's living room. We can't be on everyone's couches. Yeah. Like, I want to be, because that's my heart.
Yeah.
Like, invite me to come sit on your couch and drink coffee. And I always tell Josh, like, I feel like I might have missed my calling as like a counselor because I love it. Like, love conversating with people. Yeah. But we can't, obviously don't have the time to sit in every woman's living room and talk like this. But like, this is a way that
we can all be together.
We can be together. Yeah. I can be in your living room with you, but not technically in your living room with you. So I loved that. But I think too, you had made this comment about getting uplifting, real, raw information out. Right. So you had said that. You go off of that. What did you mean by that?
Uplifting, real, raw information. This is going to be one of those. I got to think on the fly.
Yeah. So, which if we have to edit that part out, but like, I thought that was really good because there are so many lies out there.
Right.
We're not cutting that. We don't even have to cut that.
We don't. We're not going to cut things.
So Josh said before I left.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to say it.
Okay.
Okay. So Josh said before I left, which is my husband. I don't even know if I said his name, but he said before I left 2 pieces of advice. Number 1, I told him that he had to listen to my podcast. And so
we told him that he would want to, because we were going to talk about him.
Exactly. You're going to want to know what all these people think about you. But I said, you're going to have to listen to my podcast. And I feel like he gave us advice, because if he was going to have to suffer through listening to my podcast, he wanted to make sure it was good. And so his 2 pieces of advice were, number 1 was be real and authentic. No take 2s. Like, you have to take one, like, this is what it is. And then number 2 was make sure you had good intro music. His exact words were, grab them by the balls right from the beginning. And that is why you will definitely get to know Josh when he's on here.
And on that note, that is who we are.
That's right.
We're not going to be like overly churchy. If you're looking for an overly churchy podcast, you've come to the wrong place.
You are. Like,
we're
real
gonna be
life.
Deep. We're going to be, we're going to be God-centered, because that's who we are.
Yeah.
And that's where, and I guess, like, when I say we want to give them, like, real, authentic information, like, we want to cut the fluff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
that's good.
We want it to be, like, sometimes you're not always going to get it right. Sometimes you're going to have to, like, give yourself grace. You're going to have to give other people grace.
Yeah.
But, hey, God is the God of abundant grace.
Yeah.
And so we're going to be... That's where we're going to try to meet people. We were just praying before this, and like, the prayer would be that you are drawn to the Father's heart
Yeah.
through our conversations with each other, with other people, with whatever turns this podcast take,
Yeah.
That's our heart in this. And so we hope that you guys take that away from it.
Yeah, and I think we said earlier, what were we saying before the podcast started? And we said, we love God, but we're fun, or something. What was it? Was that what we said? Or we love Jesus? I don't remember. We're really going to have to think about
Something
that.
like that.
It was something along the lines of like, and it's true, like our family, our whole family
Right.
loves Jesus, but they are so fun to be around.
Right.
Like we're going to cut up and we're going to have a good time.
You
we're
know,
gonna
and I
fun
think growing up, they were really good at making Christianity look attractive
Yeah,
because it was never boring.
yeah.
And I think that's something that the church might sometimes miss.
No, I totally
Like the church
agree.
at large. And I feel like people are doing that more and more now. So I think it's going in the right direction, that church doesn't look boring anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's important that, I mean, God likes to have fun with you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, let the little children come to me. He's not, being boring with kids. You know? He wants us to enjoy our time here, and he wants to enjoy time with us. And I think that's important.
It is, because I think a lot of people, just based off of church in general, just have this envision of God up there on like a big, huge throne judgment seat with a gavel that's going to hit you on top of the head when you do something wrong.
Yeah, don't step out of bounds.
Yes, and that's just not who he is.
No.
Like, he's so intimate and loving, and I feel like we have to represent him like that.
Yeah.
That just in grace and intimacy and love, and not stern, and and that's what, like, he is fun. He is fun. Like, my life and what we get to do is because of him, and that's fun.
Exactly.
And so
yeah, you're definitely, I guess you want to have that idea that when you come to Christ, you're not giving something up, you're gaining something greater.
Oh God, yes, that's so good, and that's so true, and that it's
like, you're
real.
not giving up fun stuff. You're just gonna gain something that's even more authentic. It's richer, and it's gonna be more durable. Like, joy is different than like temporary happiness. And I feel like that's what we definitely want people to see.
Well, it goes back to like the video I shared on my Instagram today, actually, which was probably for this moment, but just talking about that, God does give us the desires of our heart, but it's once our desires are aligned with his will.
That's good.
And that video is so good. You have to go watch it.
I haven't seen it.
It's Priscilla Schreier, and she's in an interview, and she says, she's expounding on the fact that it's like, God does want to give us the desires of our heart, but it's when our desires align with his will, and then he can give you all of those things. And I feel like that's fun. Like, I want those things for myself, and he's giving them to me because they align, and it all works. It just works,
awesome.
And so that could be a whole podcast in itself, I feel like. But
so what's on the horizon for the SFL podcast? What are things that we're thinking about? Yeah,
so Taylor and I have said definitely plenty of times, right? Just like explaining like what all we would want to talk about. We've talked through text. I really feel like we may have so many ideas that just 2 sessions of time would not be enough.
Yeah.
Poor Jack.
Yeah.
And Reno.
Just so you guys know, we are not alone in this room.
We are not.
And they are being great.
They are doing wonderful. Jack's chair was a little noisy a while ago, but it's okay. It's fine. It's fine. But no, so many things.
Make it more noisy.
Really? He's rocking his chair now. Such a distraction. But no, okay, so all the ideas that we've had. And
I think one of them that I'm really excited about, sorry. I'm going to
Go
have to
ahead.
work on not cutting people off.
Do it. It's okay.
Kobe says that I do that.
Oh, he says a lot of things.
He does say a lot of things.
He does.
Anyways, but one of the ones is interviewing people that we know.
Absolutely.
I'm really excited about that.
And we have some really cool people in our life.
We do.
That you have to meet.
Oh, and you know what? I was thinking about this when we were talking earlier. And so much of this is probably part of the reason why I personally love podcasts. We were also talking about how I listen to a lot of podcasts, and Keshia doesn't listen to a whole bunch.
Yeah.
But
we have to expound on that in a minute.
I learn a lot by just, the Bible says to just shut your mouth and be a listener. You know what I mean? I don't know where that is in the Bible, but it's there. and it says it in a different way.
Oh, okay.
No, just don't be talking all the time. You need to listen. And do you remember whenever we were young, like 20, like 20, that type of stuff. And we would go on like women's events, trips, and we would have to pile in the car with the women in our church who are older than us. And I tell Shawnee this all the time. I still remember her like talking about her kids and like raising young kids and the things that she learned. And it was just natural conversation that we had in the car. I learned so much in the car on a way to a trip that I feel like that's the power of podcasting. Like you take conversations and it's not, I studied for this, I did that. I was in that season and this is what God showed me in that season. And that's what we're talking about now. Yeah. And I think that's what's cool. And I like getting to interview some of those type of people. Like Shawnee would probably be like, no.
Oh, no. So but she would definitely say no. She asked me, so we're starting the Monday night Bible studies or at the church. And last night she was like, is it going to be like that leadership one you did that one time where we have to say stuff? Because if so, I'm not signing up.
She would.
And I was like, it's not. Like, we're just watching DVDs. You're good.
Yeah.
So she would totally be out. We would have to con her into being like, God said that you should do this.
Connor, that's so biblical. See, we're fun Christians. Just kidding.
But no, we have some really amazing people in our life that have a lot of good things to say, and I really seriously feel like those people are a lot of the reason of who I am today.
Right.
Like they made me my values and how I parent and how I'm a wife, and
those people always say to us, like, I wish I would have known at 20. Like, I wish I would have been as grounded at 20 as you guys were.
Yes.
And I always want to be like, we are this way because of you guys.
For sure.
Like, because you guys have been in our lives, like, all we did was listen.
Yeah.
All we did was take it seriously.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything else that we did.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And we have some really amazing women outside of our family and outside of our church.
Outside of our church family.
Yeah, the ministers that we've gotten to sit before, that we've gotten to speak into their church, at their churches.
So if y'all are listening and we give you a phone call.
Yes, be ready. If you feel the Lord tugging at your heart right now and you're like, it's going to be me, it's probably going to be you.
Yep.
So get ready. But I'm excited. I'm really, really excited about the people that we have thought to bring on here and what the future. We're going to talk about marriage. We're going to talk about parenting. Kids, but the real raw stuff.
Yeah.
I told Taylor, I do want it to be real. I want it to be raw. I want it to be authentic. And so you are going to hear the things that you may not hear on another churchy podcast. Because we're going to say the things, all the things. But we talked about what? We said marriage. We said parenting. Friendships, social media.
Bad advice. It's a podcast I really want to do.
Bad advice,
like bad Facebook advice. Like that's
bad Facebook
advice. It's on my heart. I want to get a collection of bad advice because I've already got 5 in mind that
God.
like things that go viral and you're like, that's a terrible idea. Why are people sharing that?
Yeah.
I want to do a podcast on that.
We should. But the thing, I guess I don't have a whole lot of bad advice because I just do not like Facebook. I'm so sorry.
I should probably stop scrolling.
I don't scroll.
We're going to do a podcast on social media.
Yes, and advice on how to handle it because I feel like I'm not a scroller. I've really tried to stop scrolling, which has been absolutely amazing. I know that social media is a platform that God has placed into my life to minister to people, and I want to get on there and do what I'm called to do and then jet out as fast as I can. Right. So I'll respond to things, but I try not to scroll. Yeah,
you try not to hang out, and that's probably that's wise. But I will say that we are so glad that you guys are choosing to join us. That, any amount of time that you spend listening to this podcast, I want you guys to know that we don't take that lightly. We don't sit in these chairs without, having the weight of presenting you with the Word of God or whatever that means. But, just conversate with us. Like, what are you liking? What are some things that you guys want to hear? Find us on social media and let us know.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So we have a SFL Facebook, and had not gotten an SFL Instagram yet, but I'm gonna do it tonight, I think.
Yeah, and we're gonna probably add a tag to the end of this episode and be like, "This is how you find us on Instagram."
Yes,
so I'm gonna go. And then also, I've always wanted to say this. It'll be in the show notes.
I don't even know what show notes are.
That's where we are right now.
What are show notes?
Keisha does not listen to podcasts.
I don't.
Show notes. Okay, so when you have your podcast, you go to your little podcast app show notes are where they put all the things that like the links to.
Wow.
It'll say episode notes, and then you'll hit
no idea.
show. So it'll be like your podcast, and you'll just scroll up.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of people in the world that I'm thinking about right now, since we're talking about this, that we're probably going to have to put on this is how you listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
In our life, because like Mima and
she's going to want to hear them.
Actually, I think she can listen to podcasts because I think she listens to wall builders.
She does. I've seen her do that before. So.
Yeah,
no, Tayler and I are, you're going to find out, and it won't take very many episodes because even this one, that Tayler and I are really best friends, like sisters, but very different.
Yeah.
So Tayler I love listening to hour-long podcasts, and I'm like 30 minutes and I'm out. I'm like, I have so much going on. I'm so busy homeschooling and kids and businesses and all the things that I'm like, if it's 30 minutes, I probably don't have time. Jack and I agreed with that. Like if it says 30, but I want to get better at it because you're filling time like while you're washing dishes and while you're cleaning with podcasts. And it's like, I'm not doing anything in that time. Why wouldn't I be filling myself with information like that?
So I'm my favorite way to consume information.
So I'm inspired by you to do that. I told Josh
that's
that.
Good. Yeah. Today, I literally had the thought, I was trying to listen to a podcast and I was getting annoyed at Cass because he was being so loud. And I was like the Holy Spirit was like, Tayler, what's more important, your kid or what you want to listen to because you want to unwind? And I was like, turn it off.
Sorry, Lord.
So, yeah, like I have the opposite problem. I'm like, okay, turn off the podcast. I actually fasted podcasts for January.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, but aren't all your podcasts like...
They're informational. They're not bad. They're like news. They're Christian. They're stuff like that.
I've never heard of anybody doing that. That's pretty cool.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so talking about real and authentic, Jackson, is that number at the top of that screen how long we've been talking? Is that in like an hour? Oh, I was about to say, oh my gosh, Tayler, no wonder.
Okay, we got to wrap this up though. I think it's done.
I mean, we're at 26 minutes.
But it's just the intro.
Oh, so Jack has us a paper that says 30 minutes in. He is so good.
All right, guys, we are so glad that you joined us. Yes. We hope that you come back. We're going to get this figured out. Mm-hmm. You know,
I think we did amazing.
I think we did good too.
I mean,
high five.
Air five.
Bye, guys.